Hello, Margaret Larson here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining us. Today, my guest is Daryl Murrow. How are you doing, Daryl?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. Delighted to be
Daryl,
here.
we've known each other for a few years. Little bit of background. I know we met at Life on Fire, I think 2018, 2019 in San Diego. Where are you from originally? And where, just a little bit of background on who Daryl is.
Yeah, I live in Olympia, Washington, and born and raised here, so
Okay.
up in the Pacific Northwest.
Awesome. So when we first met with Life and Fire, I don't even know for sure I knew what I was doing there, why I was there. What was your reason for going to that Life on Fire event, or event?
Yeah, I saw that event on Facebook. I was
Hmm.
participating in one of their challenges. I just happened to see it and clicked in, and I went to that event not really knowing what I was going to find or experience, but for some reason it just called out to me that I should attend it. And so I'm glad I did. It was
Me too.
Uh, I look at it as a starting point, not a starting point, but an early part of my spiritual journey that I've been on.
Yeah, and I can relate because I was kind of, although you were way ahead of me because I was so quiet there, I didn't really do much at that event. But yeah, we were broke up into groups, and I think you were in my wife's group there. And I know she had a very good time in that group, and it was a fun event. So okay, fast forward. What are you doing now, and what's going on in your life now?
Well, I've been in, I guess, what I would describe as a profound transformation in my life. I've been a business coach since 2008, and before
Okay,
that, I was a retail store owner. I sold music and DVDs and
really?
CDs.
Okay,
Yes. And this past year, I would say I like to link it as a spiritual journey, but
hmm,
I've been on a pursuit to discover and live my true authentic self. And so I'm actually changing and adapting at this time. So what this is going to unfold and look like, I'm not really sure, but I'm trusting the process.
sure. And that's the way to do it because you don't know. The best laid plans, that's for sure.
That's
It
right.
can change very, very much. So everybody that's wondering on the podcast, without your shirt on, that kind of relates to what your kind of your journey right now. So we talked about that quite a bit yesterday. Can you explain about a little bit about that? I mean, the freeingness of the clothes and stuff, or
Yes. So as part of my journey to discover my true authentic self is I have found I've enjoyed being in the nude.
okay, cool.
And the reason for that is not because I'm an exhibitionist or anything like that.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to
Hmm.
draw attention, but it's another layer that I have shed in order to speak my truth and be as raw and vulnerable as I can be. So this is
Yes.
the first time I've ever been on camera completely naked,
Cool. Very
and
nice.
I when I'm at home, I'm naked as much as I could be. I grill naked. I do everything else
Okay.
naked that I could do,
Uh,
and yeah, it's slowly becoming a part of me that I've been
sure.
embracing.
Okay. No, and we talked yesterday. Clothes is a way to kind of keep from doing your authentic self. It's a kind of a layer where it keeps you from being that person, and I think that's so awesome. And I think as you're kind of finding, you kind of becomes your normal. It's just the way what I do. Now we were talking about like on a beach and stuff, and how when everybody else is doing it, it's just like it's not out of the normal. And I think more people need to do that because we put on so many personas, to fit into society. And it Yeah, you got to be who you are. You got to be who God made you, or universe, or wherever you believe, because that's the person God wants you to be out there to show the world.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah. So you were talking about doing a podcast, or have you started a podcast?
Yes, I have a podcast. It's
Okay.
called Coming Home with Daryl Murrow, and
Okay.
it's raw, unfiltered, unscripted, off the cuff. I mean, I may have some bullet points and
Sure.
that guide me. I typically will read from my journal, but it's follows my journey of becoming my true authentic self and the things that I've been going through. I've been shedding a lot of masks that I
Mm-hmm.
used to
Mm-hmm.
wear. All of us tend to wear masks
Oh
to
yes.
keep us safe, and
Yep.
we think to as a way to earn love or whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is. And for me, I guess when you asked me earlier, kind of the nakedness and that. I have been a codependent, people pleasing perfectionist my entire life, and that was what I first started to dive in and find out why. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to say I have eliminated that from my
Very.
life, and it's transformed me. It's one of the greatest gifts I've ever received.
Yeah. And I can understand that because I was very much that same way. It's just like I always was very concerned about everything that I probably shouldn't have been, to a point. I was to a fault. I was definitely a people pleaser. And I've gotten to the point where definitely not as much. Those things still kind of creep in. It's like, no, we're not that person anymore. So was there one like impetus that really started this whole change?
It was earlier this year. I found myself in a situation and it involved several different things, but financial was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that there was nobody to blame except myself.
Mm.
And and the reason it happened was because of my people pleasing.
Okay.
And when you're a people pleaser, you tend to avoid confrontation and you don't like to have
Yeah.
difficult discussions and things like that. And so I realized, as much as I didn't want to admit it, I put myself in that situation and I said, this is never going to happen again.
Awesome.
Never going to happen again. And it actually sank me into a depression for,
Really?
yes, it sank me into a depression. I would say for about 2 to 3 weeks
Okay.
that I had this period where I felt completely numb inside and I would sit on the couch and stare at the wall for hours and not do
Wow.
anything. And that was kind of the driving point. Out of desperation to
Mm-hmm.
feel better,
Mm-hmm.
I started to work on myself. I didn't really realize I was doing that at the time, but
Okay.
that's what I started to do. I just wanted clarity and I wanted answers, and I didn't want to feel that way anymore.
I can understand that feeling. You just get to the point where it's like enough. You just
Enough.
yeah.
Yes.
And that's kind of when we talked about yesterday, where I was so quiet and have been quiet a good share of my life, and now I'm not. That's kind of where I got. I got so sick. I hated myself. It's just like this person that has a voice but never used it, and it was just a decision that's like no more. It's just
Yes.
like yeah, yeah. It was scary, but it was refreshing. It was just like finally, and I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I hadn't made that decision. But so did you grow up? Were you in the town you're in now?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, born and raised, and so really right next to Olympia is a town called Lacey, Washington. They
Okay.
border each other. And growing up here, it was a great place to be raised. It was at the time it wasn't a very diverse population, which
Okay.
is changing now, and it is.
Hmm.
But uh, you think of it, it was a fairly small community. It's grown much larger now, but yeah,
Hmm.
it was a great place to really a great place to grow up.
Okay. So do you have family or siblings, or do you have family in the area? Okay.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I have family in the area or one of the neighboring towns over.
Okay.
Uh, Still have some friends from grade school that are around
Cool.
here and middle school, and even in
Very
some
nice.
of my networking I go to, there's a woman that I was in the seventh grade with, and we
Okay.
remember that from back
Uh-huh.
then.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
That is neat. So when you were growing up, I always ask on the Dreamcatcher podcast, what were your dreams? What did you want to grow up to be?
You know, that was something that I really struggled with.
Okay.
I didn't really have dreams of what I aspired to be. I was always confused. I was always searching for something.
Wow.
And you know how some people, oh, I want to grow up and be a fireman, or I want to grow up and
Sure.
be an astronaut, or something like that.
Right.
I didn't have those. I don't know why. I just,
Wow.
at that time of my life, dreaming or pursuing things into the future and imagination. I mean, I could dream I wanted a certain car,
Sure. Oh yeah.
or
Of course. Yes.
back then a stereo system, when that
Right.
was
I
real,
hear you.
real popular, and some
Yeah.
things like that. But career, I remember going through the career process with counselors at high school,
Right. Yeah.
and I had to call and interview some people in the community that were within a certain job, and I thought I would go into engineering or something like
Really.
that.
Okay.
And what I ended up doing was joining the Air Force. And I became an
Really. Okay.
electronic technician in the Air Force. Yeah, but I thought I could, and during that time when I was in high school, I just felt this urge. I just wanted to get away and see something else other than Lacey, Washington. We
I
had
understand that.
we had
Yep.
taken a few family trips. We
Hmm.
drove to Texas and California, uh, when I was in high school, but really, other than that, I hadn't seen much of the world. And so I
I
thought,
bet.
what's the fastest way I could do that? And I didn't want to go in the Marines or the Army, but the Air Force seemed to fit,
Yeah.
and it was a great choice for me.
Very good. I did not know that until right now about that. So how long were you in the Air Force?
I was in there for 6 years.
6 years. Wow. So it was a good experience then.
It was. It was. It allowed me to learn about other cultures, other religions, all kinds of things. That it
Good.
exposed me to so many things. And
Bet.
my last duty station for the last 3 years was in Tokyo, Japan. And I
Okay.
traveled all around the Pacific. So the
Wow.
Philippines, Hawaii, Guam, Korea, and that was amazing.
I bet. So was it what you thought it'd be like, or I mean, I've never been to that part of the world, any of those. So was that? I mean, did you? It sound like you enjoyed those areas.
I sure did. And the people and the cultures, understanding the differences that they have between how we were raised, it
Yeah.
was something I really found fascinating, and I
Hmm.
really enjoyed it.
That is so cool. So I got to ask. I mean, with you, what you're starting out right now, what would you like to see it look like in like a year or two, or maybe 5 years down the road?
So, great question. I really have embraced the podcasting like you have,
Awesome.
and I'm going to continue the podcasting journey that I'm on.
Very cool.
And I feel inspired. This may sound funny, but I want to visit as many clothing optional resorts and places that I can. And
I love it.
so I have led workshops. You may not know
Oh, I
this,
didn't know
but
that.
I
Okay.
went back to Life on Fire a couple
Ah,
months later as a
okay. I
leader.
did not know that. Okay.
And at that time, Nick, the guy putting it on,
Right.
said, if you want to put on an event like this in your community, you can hire me. And I did. I felt called to do it.
Wow.
So in January of 2019, I started putting on what I called the Ultimate Breakthrough Experience. The
Okay.
same format, 4 days, and
Okay. Like Nick and
I
Megan.
think
Okay.
I think there were 7 of them before COVID hit. And
Oh
that
yeah.
and then I did a couple more after that, but what I realized was something told me to stop because I felt like something was missing, and now I
Okay.
feel I've been learning what that is. I had to experience this in my life. So definitely some type of retreats, speaking,
Okay.
and it's going to evolve, but that's
Sure.
what I see for myself.
That is so awesome. I mean, I did not know you did those events. I actually didn't know that Nick did that. But so, did you enjoy that?
Oh, it was the first time in my life that while leading these events, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Oh, I wouldn't have either. No, I would definitely
I
wouldn't have.
wanted to learn, and I mean I put so much effort into studying
Right.
and
Yeah.
learning and doing everything that I could. And then there's all the logistics of setting up an event
Oh
like
yes.
that.
Yeah.
And I had lots of help, thank goodness, but I remember one time, I think it was, I just finished speaking on the stage, and people were doing one of the activities or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember looking up thinking, "Oh my gosh, I feel absolutely alive."
Ah, you're in flow.
And what happened, I mean, when you're talking for 4 days straight,
Yeah.
I felt like everything was being channeled through me.
Mm-hmm.
It, I'm
I know
like,
what you mean.
I'm just the messenger. I mean, I'm just the person speaking it, but
Right. Exactly.
it's
Yes.
not me doing it.
Uh-huh.
And so that feeling, we would leave these events on such, I call it a love high. There was such a
Mm-hmm.
concentration of love in that room that
I
I would
know that
actually have
feeling.
withdrawals after it.
I can see that
Because
too.
yes, because it just felt so good. But
It
that
is.
was, and so then I said, how could I continue to have that experience of that aliveness?
Uh-huh.
And that's what I've been working to align myself and move into that space, that everything I do, I feel alive, or I feel giddy, or I feel like a kid in a candy store. That
I know the
type
feeling.
of
Yes.
feeling. Yes,
It is. And it's truly the best way to live.
it
One thing
really is.
when you have that, your vibe just, resonates out and people can pick up on that very much. And yeah, so many people don't live ever their whole life that way. And the fact that, I mean, you did and you are continuing to do that. I can tell already that your vibe is very, very much up there. And you feel like, well, you're in flow. I figure, when you're in flow, nothing feels like work, and you just want to do more of it. It's just, it's so awesome. But so, when speaking on stage, does that intimidate you?
No, it used to. It
Okay.
used to. I used to have such a fear of speaking in front of others. I had a fear of being around others, like at a networking event.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
I would have never
I
guessed that.
I had such a phobia, and the one of the masks I always wore was, I'm fine, I'm put together and all of this,
Mhm.
but deep inside I was trembling.
Wow.
I can remember my first networking event. I was so nervous, and people were speaking their 30-second commercial,
Hmm.
and they were coming, and as it kept getting closer to me, I could feel my face heating up. It turned bright red, and I could feel
Wow.
sweat starting to come, and then when it was
Wow.
my turn to speak, it felt like it was all jumbled coming out.
Okay.
And after it was over, once they closed the meeting, I hightailed it out, and I sat in my car, and I remember, oh my gosh, that was horrible.
Wow. So you really
Yes.
were. Wow. So how did you move from that? I mean, that had to be traumatic, I would think.
It was. I kind of laugh now when I think of how I was, but I joined Toastmasters.
Oh, Toastmasters, awesome. Yes.
I joined Toastmasters, and I would say Toastmasters, without a doubt, helped me ease into that and become comfortable and learn how to speak. I learned so many different techniques and
Hmm.
how to handle fear and project my voice properly. And yes,
Exactly.
so
No.
that is the number one thing that I did that really helped me out.
And I can believe Toastmasters. I actually started Toastmasters right before COVID, and then that kind of, like everything, changed everything. They couldn't do it in person, and and it was just like, nah, this doesn't. It's not the same, And I should probably go back. I should go back, not probably, to do that. How long were you part of Toastmasters?
I would say, so I originally joined for 8 years, and then I left, and then I went back for about another three. So I was in it for
Wow.
11 years. And also, what Toastmasters teaches you is leadership skills.
Yes.
So I learned how to run meetings and do things like that, which I'm so glad I did that, because there was a period where I was on the board of my local chamber, and when it was my
Okay.
turn to serve as president, I had to run meetings, and
Right.
I felt comfortable doing that.
That's very good. That's
Yes,
excellent. No, I did not know they did that. And I mean, so would you do like a TED Talk, or would you ever want to do one of those, or TEDx?
I would love to do that.
I could see you
So,
doing it.
so
I
if you
already see
say a
you.
dream, yes, that's a dream to be able to do a TED Talk.
I just got it flashed in my mind. I see you up on stage already. So
I love
yeah,
it.
I mean, so do you? I mean, do you speaking like every day or not every day, but quite often?
I was for a while. I was primarily speaking at local chambers and Rotary clubs
Oh,
and things
sure.
like that. I always dreamed of being paid professionally to speak, and I was able to accomplish that twice.
Okay,
So,
cool.
uh, but I've never advertised or marketed myself or sought out speaking opportunities.
Okay.
But I love to speak, and I do feel natural now.
Yeah, and
Speaking it
I can
doesn't
believe.
intimidate me like it used to.
No, and I tell everybody that, doing podcasts or speaking, that your audience is out there waiting for you. And if you don't do that, then they're not going to get, what you have to say. And and then I always say, and I have to think this myself, everybody's thinking concerned about what people are thinking. It's like most people are thinking the same way. It's like, what are these people thinking about me? And that kind of makes it a little bit more at ease. My mind's still, I'm not past where you're at, and I'm not where you're at by a ways. I get my heart starts pounding and all that stuff. But I did an event in 2022, and I just actually the coach I had that got me started with the podcasting. She's like, "Do you want to do an in-person event?" That's how I know when you said logistics. Oh my gosh. Everybody that I had that was going to be the speaker to begin with was not the speaker who actually was there when it finally went on.
Okay.
And, oh my gosh. I mean, it was good. And then I did two people from Europe that had been on the podcast that were speakers, and Zoom was kind to me those days. And it was very quaint. It was about 30 some people that were there, and I enjoyed it so much. It was just like, and somebody's like, "You doing an event?" And I called it Impact, and
Oh, excellent.
it was good. I mean, it was like, this is me, very much me. So okay, going back to you. So Daryl, you're living your dream life 5, 10 years from now. What is that? I mean, are you traveling, or what are you? What is your dream life?
Yes, traveling. And in a way, I kind of feel like I'm living my dream life now,
Cool.
but it will be expanded in 5 or 10 years. So,
Okay.
so where I live now, I'm right on the water. It's like
Oh,
all these
nice.
things have started manifesting in my life, and it's almost like I'm in this dream state. I was thinking of this the other day. It's almost like when you're living a dream, everything else around you kind of disappears. All the worries, concerns, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Now, there's things that can snap us back
Oh,
into
yeah, definitely.
problems and things like that. And
Oh,
I
yes.
refer to that now as being connected or disconnected to true source energy, right? To
True.
being
Agreed.
connected there. But 5 or 10 years, I want to be doing exactly what I'm doing, except traveling, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Traveling and speaking and doing the same types of things that I'm doing. And I do see retreats. One of my dreams was to put on an event in a faraway destination, like
Nice.
Mexico or the Caribbean or some place,
Okay.
a destination retreat. I would love to have destination retreats. And so that's definitely a big dream of mine.
That's an awesome dream.
And traveling, and there's so much of the world that I haven't explored and I would love to visit and
Yep.
see.
I hear you.
So really, I was recently, I when I journal, I sometimes go through these things, and traveling has always been number one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Always been number
Yes.
one.
Yes.
And being able to speak and just be around like-minded people that want to do good and live authentically is what
Yes.
I want to surround myself with.
Me too. There's nothing better.
There isn't.
No, it is. I mean, I think it was actually heaven on earth. I think that's more what we should go towards than, because there's so many people that are far from that. And I think you and I and the people that are on this journey, I think that's what God, the universe is kind of putting us out there to show people there's definitely another way.
Yeah,
And
and I want to make a distinction. When I said, I'm kind of living it now, also what I'm referring to is living in gratitude.
yes, very important.
So I remember when I started keeping a gratitude journal, and every day I
Hmm.
would write things down. But the more we do that, at least this is just my experience, the more we
Okay.
do that and the more we're able to align ourselves, then pretty soon we start living in gratitude. Instead of gratitude as something to remember, I've started living in gratitude where everything I do and look around and see,
Yes.
I just go, "Oh my gosh, is this really happening? I
Uh-huh.
love it. I love it."
Yeah.
And then when things like recently my truck broke down and things like that,
Hmm.
I don't stress about that thing. I don't stress
I hear
about
you.
that.
Yep.
And and financially things might not be where they want to be, but I'm not worried about it. That
I so understand.
that stress and worry, yes, you
Yeah.
understand. When you can shed that and live your life, it's like freedom.
It is definitely freedom. It's awesome, and yeah, when we were talking today with all our expenses, medical expenses and all that stuff, and it's just like, nah. I at one time stressed I couldn't even sleep. I would almost have panic attacks. And it's
Yes,
like, no. And I'm just thankful that I get to do a podcast with you, Daryl, and I just that I on this journey of doing this. That it's a beautiful day here. Just every morning. I mean, the birds, the cardinals out there singing again. At least he's not trying to join in on the podcast. But it's just, there's so many. I always say, whatever you look for, you find.
yes,
If you're looking for the negativities, there's plenty of that around. But if you look for the positives, the world is beautiful. In fact, I just put a podcast up. I took some pictures. I take a lot of pictures of our flowers that we have growing out here, and they're so beautiful. And I definitely take a lot of those, and put them up. But it is. I mean, I'm here. I can see that. I'm able to do that. And I live in a country that is, has its flaws, but what country doesn't? We have a lot of
right.
positives here too.
We
And
do.
but it is. You don't. It's just like it's going to be taken care of. I tell Cheryl that, my wife, that there's so many things with the expenses, the things she's been having to go through right now, and going back and doing that stuff, and it's just like it'll be taken care of. You just have to you believe you have the faith, and truly have faith that everything is going to work out, like Dr. Karen Kramer, a friend of ours. Everything happens at the time it's supposed to, the way it's supposed to.
That's
And I
right.
find that comforting. When she told me that, it's just like that changed my whole outlook on the way I look at life. And
Yeah. I
I am so
appreciate
glad.
you. Oh,
But
I didn't
go
mean to
ahead.
interrupt you.
No, you're
I
fine. I'm
appreciate.
just so glad that we went to Life on Fire. Where we crossed paths. So, but you were going
Yes,
to say.
I appreciate you sharing about the flowers.
Hmm.
So one example is now when I see flowers and plants and things like that, I think of here's something that's alive expressing itself in the
Yes.
beauty that it
Yes.
can. And I can remember one time we had a little bit of a drought and then the rain came down and the next day it was beautiful and I walked
Hmm.
outside and I literally felt as if all the plants and foliage were singing in joy. It
Yes.
was it
Yes.
was such a beautiful experience. So
It
now
is.
when if I see a little insect, I think it's living its life and
It
expressing
is.
itself, right? We're all
And
here together
we
and
are.
it's just a beautiful thing. There,
Yeah.
the world is so miraculous.
Very
This
much.
earth we're on and when we can see that and appreciate it, oh my goodness, everything changes.
It does. No, it does. And like you say, everything is just because we can't communicate with like the other things like plants or bugs or whatever. Um, I'm sure that I don't kill bugs. I actually pick them up and they look at me, and it's just like they're trying to communicate that way. In fact, actually, we have a few bats around here, and I find bats interesting. I think their face looks like a puppy, and they just look like they want to communicate. And everybody's like, "Aren't you scared?" It's like, not really. Maybe when I was younger, but it is. I'm just grateful that they are living their life too, and they have a right to live. And I find that wildlife, all that kind of knows that I feel that way.
Mm,
Right now, Cheryl and I have this rabbit, which I think could be actually very much a pet. He's very tame, but he knows. I think it's a vibe you put out that they know it's like I'm safe on that. But yeah, it's so much gratitude. So, and I was going to ask you if you did journaling and all that stuff, but you obviously sounds like you do. Do you meditate?
I do. I
Okay.
meditate every day for usually 20 minimum of 20 minutes, but
Okay.
uh, I like to meditate longer. I started that about 20 years ago, and then I used to meditate in my walk-in closet. It was the
Okay.
only part of the
Cool.
house that was quiet.
Uh-huh.
And now I do my best to meditate outside when the sun is coming up. I
Yes.
like
Oh,
that. And
golden
and
hour.
something
Yes.
I've used for meditations that somebody turned me on to is this little round, I think they call it a machine that you can get off of places like Amazon, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
Tibetan singing bowl.
Oh,
So it has the sound and the
yeah.
vibration. And so
Yeah.
I just hit the button and that repeats and it
I
centers
love
me.
that.
Yes, but meditation's very important to me. So
It
is
is.
journaling.
Yep.
Journaling is something that I do all the time, and it's yeah, it's an important part of my life.
No, it is. And there is something like we talked yesterday that I'm supposed to write a book, but there is something about putting it down on, 3D, and into the physical. And I didn't do any of that stuff when I was not, I don't know, not awake, whatever, on this journey where I'm at now.
Yes,
And actually, once you do it, you don't feel, I don't feel complete if I haven't done that for the day. It's just
exactly.
like I gotta do that. So Daryl, what are some other things you enjoy to do?
Oh, well, recently I started bike riding again,
Cool, very
and
nice.
I'm now interested enough that I bought bike shorts with padding in it, which is like wearing a diaper. It feels like
I
I'm wearing
bet.
a
Yeah, I can
diaper.
see that with the padding. Yep.
And I just completed, I started this 6 weeks ago, and I think the first ride I did 2 miles. It was like, okay, that's
Okay.
enough. And uh, 2 days ago, I did 20 miles. So my endurance is
Wow.
starting to
You
get back
really
up
that
there. But I find
that's a
that
lot of
very
growth.
therapeutic. Yeah, I feel that's very therapeutic. Uh, I recently went downtown to it happened in a bar, but they had a story, what did they call it? Story Oli.
Okay.
And it's it's a story slam as they call it. So people
Interesting.
get up, they put their name in a bowl and then they'll pull them and then you just get up and you tell a story. And
Wow, I
so
like that.
I did that. Got up in front of people, didn't know any of them, and I kind of shared my story of what I've been going through, and it was well
Very,
received, and it was very entertaining.
very.
And I like hiking.
Oh,
I
me
like
too.
I like entertaining. I like grilling food for people while there's a group of people around, and then we're
Yeah.
all talking and having conversation and things like that. Really, kind of simple things that
I think
I've
that's
enjoyed.
excellent. No, so do you sing?
No,
Okay.
no, I do not sing. I did take singing lessons once as a comfort zone challenge,
Okay.
and I did it with a friend. And then, as the person who taught us said, "Well, you have to put on a singing concert. That's the
Oh,
only way I'm
wow.
going to teach you." She taught us lessons for free, but says you have to put on a concert. So, her and
Oh my
I,
gosh.
we assembled about. I think there was about 40 friends and family there. So fortunately, they were all supportive and not
Uh-huh.
critical.
Mhm.
And we each did, I think, 3 or 4 songs
Oh my
that
gosh.
so I have sang in front of people, but
Uh.
that's something that's I once was enough for
I
that.
think that might be for me too. I've never done that in front of people, so wow. But no, I mean that's so awesome. So Daryl, with your podcast, where can people find you? Where can can you find you on like with social media, Facebook or where can they find all your socials?
Yes, Daryl Murrow is primarily the name of most of them. I used my
Okay.
self name as as the URL, so darylmurrow.com. I'm on Spotify and Apple, and on
Okay.
darylmurrow.com is my podcast player. And
Okay.
because of what you shared with me recently, I just made sure I was on iHeartRadio yesterday.
Awesome.
So I'm
Very
on
good.
there.
That is
Yeah.
excellent. That is very much so. So Daryl, before we end the podcast, anything else you would like to share with the audience?
You know, I, I guess if I just quickly shared my philosophy, we
Okay.
all we were all born perfect. We come to this earth with this beautiful soul that's inside
Yes.
of us. And then we become conditioned and
Yeah.
we learn things and they don't always serve us. So we walk around with beliefs that we have that really limit us. And I encourage anyone who maybe they're a people pleaser or maybe something's going on to
Hmm.
do the work. And that just means to go inside and do that work to discover what you can do to heal yourself. It can be
Yes.
extremely painful, it can be
Yes.
messy, kind of,
Yeah.
going through that, but coming out on the other end.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I was journaling last night that I am really not concerned what people think or say about me. And how powerful is
It
that?
is
I
very
my
powerful.
whole life I wanted that, and I could never get there.
Hmm.
And so if you're already in that place, you're already on the journey, which is really
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
And to continue going and to never give up and to have faith.
Amen. Yeah. Don't ever give up.
No.
There are days where you want to, but it's you just got to go forward. It's actually building you. I always say building you into the person you need to be to live your dreams. You know, and then actually all that experience you have to show people the way with when they're going through it as well. So,
Yes. And I
but
also want to express my extreme gratitude for having me here and accepting me and seeing me for who I am.
well,
And it just fills my heart with joy to be here.
well, you are. I thank you for being our guest, and I am so glad that we back in 2018 or whatever crossed paths, and
Yes,
I look forward to keeping in touch and
absolutely.
seeing how everything's going. And if you ever get to Nebraska, I'm not that far off Interstate 80, so I can show you a little bit of corn. But no, there's other things. So, but on that, Daryl, thank you for being our guest, and you're an awesome man. And I think I will end the podcast there. And you have a great rest of your day, and you take care.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.